Caution, wait, please do not play with my mind. Hey, I do not play with my lines. Wait, I keep protection for mine. You will not touch what is mine. I do not play with my shine. Caution, wait, please do not play with my mind. Hey, I do not play with my lines. Wait, I keep protection for mine. You will not touch what is mine. I do not play with my shine. Caution, look at my face, pay me respect. Please do not play with my line. If you want taste, what you gon' get? Shit that gon' bury your mind. All that's at stake, where is my check? Need every nickel and dime. You play with my race, put you in check. For stopping the vision to climb. They mad that these niggas done woke up and now all our visions to cold. Where is the bag to get us so caught up? Yeah, that is the mission and goal. Staying on cold. Some of y'all doing too much. Straight up be looking like hoes. Never gonna grow. Can't count on you on cuz. Most of y'all doing the most. Like this is a show. Doing it for entertainment. Or you're doing it for down. Or you're doing it to sit at the table with crackers with words in your mouth. I don't play with enslavement. These are the days of the South. These days we play differently. This is what black empowerment's about. Wait. I said there's no time for no friends. Either you with us against us, don't switch it, cause one of us die in the end. Hey, I'm keeping my eye on the lens. Watching the ops, despising the picture, cause they wanna see the one end. Hey, caution, wait. These do not play with my mind. Hey, I do not play with my lines. Wait, I keep protection for mine. You will not touch what is mine. I do not play with my shine. Caution, wait. Please do not play with my mind. Hey, I do not play with my life. I keep protection for mine. You will not touch what is mine. I do not play with my shine. Caution.
Hold on, wait. See a black man doing great with black-owned businesses, building in a different state. Why you snakes wait late in the grass, plotting on what you can take? Papa, black money in the black bank, mean black money is safe, protected, like it's heavily protected. If he ever feels threatened, then he go with lead and knock him off his check. Please check this. For the record, he can never be weak. Disrespecting any checking your cheek. Rep said he reppin' red, black, and green. Never fall, won't break. There's no limit to what I do for mine. But you so they don't take them up with the anger and hate up all of my ancestors combined. You wanna get one time? I keep it fully loaded, extended in the fully auto effing to keep you from crossing that gun line. You in violation. I ain't never shot a caveman. You be the first, I'ma give you this work. You get in the way of my occupation, yeah. Like I'm the boss and I don't like the way that you talking. This is my office, get permission before you walk in. The yellow tape across the door means caution.
Wait, please do not play with my mind. Hey, I do not play with my lines. Wait, I keep protection for mine. You will not touch what is mine. I do not play with my shine. Caution. Wait, please do not play with my mind. Hey, I do not play with my lines. Wait, I keep protection for mine. You will not touch what is mine. I do not play with my shine. Caution.
Hello. Good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad, and your brother Ashe SJ, along with our weekly correspondents, brother Blacksmith and sister Marcia, will be joining us in a few minutes. Glad to be black again another Thursday. We made it, family. That's a good thing. See my brother Tad working out the kinks behind the scene. You ready, brother Tad? Here we go on a check-in, brother Tad. Cromwell in the building, the life coach, the fitness coach.
Yes,
telling you,
all
the
that good
podcaster,
stuff.
all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. You know what's funny, Sister Keisha? On my way in the crib, I ran into one of the young brothers from the hood, and he stopped to give me my flowers. I'm like, yo, I appreciate that. You know, it's a level of humility that come with it. Because for those who know that I done came through some things. I done been through some things, and I came through. And I still got all my limbs, all my faculties. You know, I ain't mad at nobody. Just a couple of people, not too many. You know, false leadership in the black community, sucker ducks running around here taking people money and not delivering. But you know, what else is new? Those are the only people I'm mad at. Everybody else, we all right. But how you feeling, sis?
I'm good. I made it through another week. You know, we buried one uncle last Saturday, and next Friday we will send home another uncle. So, keep the family in your prayers. We've been hanging on to each other, trying to be the best that we can for each other in this trying times. That's why I said, we made it to another Thursday, January 18, 2024. Let's be happy about that. You know what I mean? Because in a blink of an eye, life can be snatched from you. And we got to make the best of the time that we have here. So, again, we black at it, family. We black at it. A lot of things have been happening in the news. A lot of troublemakers. A lot of troublemakers. Speaking of false representation, I think Sister Marcia may have sent me this video, but we'll show it a little later of Congresswoman Yvette Clarke making some commentary in favor of the migrants. Now, it's a sad day, where you have so many faces that look like you and I, Brother Tad, but the philosophy is that of white supremacy in American politics. And that's problematic, not just American politics, but around the globe, because, Haiti is going through it. Other nations are going through it. The Congo is going through it. Sudan is still going through it. And I see that South Africa made a declaration on behalf of the Palestinians against Israel and the United States. My only question is, when have Arabs stood on behalf of South Africa? I'm still waiting to find out that information. So I don't know. Brother Tad. But what's your take on this migrant situation? Because I know, you in the throes of it, and you see a lot. Now, there are a myriad of crimes that are being reported as it relates to these migrants. They can't deal with these cold temperatures in Texas, Chicago, and New York. They're complaining. More and more coming into the city. I don't know, Brother Tad, your thoughts on this crisis right now as it relates to us, how it's affecting us.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Like I said, the young brother stopped me, to salute me, giving me my flowers. And he does the delivery. He does the DoorDash. Like, Tad, I had to leave the streets alone. I'm getting too old. I can't do it. And just on the ground level, the grassroots level, he's talking about the conflicts that he has with the migrants, and, understanding that people are trying to make a better life for themselves, but they don't respect the law of the land, and this is something Dr. Claude had told us about a long time ago, about us being replaced. See, me and the brother Thorough, right? Shout out to brother Thorough from Texas, used to have Field African Refuge blog talk radio show. And now he runs the page called Black Like That. He and I was on the phone the other day for about 3 hours just kicking it. And we was talking about Pan-Africanism and foundational Black Americans. And how does that fit in today's landscape? And when we talk Pan-Africanism, and I'm going to get to the migrants, when we talk Pan-Africanism, it's almost like Black Americans are negated in particular parts of the conversation, that we have no culture, which we know is not true. This is what the media will project, that our culture is a culture of degeneracy. So when you get people that aren't from this land, migrants and the likes, they come with this idea based on images that they were shown back home, that Black American add no value to society, so they look down on us. So when I talk about the migrants, as you see them come in here, they're very disrespectful. Even when I was working in the shelters with the migrants, they started attacking the Black men that lived in the shelter. And one thing which is so unfortunate about us as a group of people, we are not organized at all. We see other groups move as one, they stay on code. Unfortunately for us, we're so splintered and fractured. We don't see that we need to be first. We need to take care of each other. And I get it sometimes, Sister Keisha, why we don't hold each other down, because so many of us are not on code. Let's take our mayor, for example. A man who came from a grassroots organization that was organized and dedicated to Black people. 100 Blacks in law enforcement who care. This was Black people in law enforcement organizing around issues that affect Black people specifically. But one of the members in the organization rise amongst the ranks of politics, get in position, and now we as Black people become an afterthought, when you got in that position because of us. From people supporting you in the 100 Blacks in law enforcement, to supporting you as the borough president, to now mayor, and then you open the floodgates for us to be replaced because these people come in and all of the jobs that they say they don't have for Black men, somehow now they got jobs. And I say that, right, sis, because I don't know if you can remember, and I don't know if my people in the other states went through this, but I know in New York, this is a fact that people who had e-bikes were getting arrested and getting their bikes snatched and taken, talking about the quality of life. But once these migrants come in, now they can ride the bikes on the sidewalks, trains, train stations, and nobody bats an eyelash. And this is the problem we have with the contradiction, that every time we do something, it's vilified and criminalized. Black people can't even ride e-bikes. But as soon as the migrants come, yeah, let them ride on the sidewalks, let them ride up and down stairs. They're reckless with it. But here's a mayor who invited these people in and gave everybody passes. Meanwhile, it still never dealt with the homeless crisis that Black people were suffering. Still wasn't dealing with the economic gap here in New York that Black people had to deal with. Because the prices of everything is going up and nobody's money going up. Even in welfare, they give you $215 for rent. $215, you can't even rent a storage unit, let alone pay rent somewhere. So my take on it is leadership has to come from the grassroots. And how does it come from the grassroots? As soon as we see somebody that we put in a leadership position and they off code, we got to deal with them. We have to deal with them. How do you think John Gotti got in the position? He was an underboss. And the boss on top of him wasn't act right. His crew took action. You off code, we got to deal with you. We got to move you out of here. That's how the game go. But we're the only people who always want to give folks passes who don't operate in our best interest, even though we're the ones who put them in position of power. Whether we talking about Eric Adams or whether we talking about Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson, no matter who they are. We support people that don't do anything for us. Even Barack Obama. You know, we just say, oh, he can't do nothing for everybody. But the moment Trump get in, Trump did all of this stuff to keep you down. Get out of here. Get out of here. And I'm no Trump fan, but I do like my racists honest. If you're going to be a racist, at least let me know you don't like me. Don't be like Sleepy Joe and tell me fantastic lies. Because everything that's happening, Trump said was going to happen. He said, keep the borders closed. Everyone will holler, oh, he racist. He trying to keep the Mexicans out. Nah, he knew what he was talking about. We wasn't at war because now trillions of our tax dollars is funding wars in support of people who hate us. Israelis care about us. Ukrainian people don't care about us, but they get trillions of dollars, trillions of our hard-earned money. But I digress. That's where I'm at with it. That's just my thoughts. It may sound random, but that's just where I'm at with it. We have to start G-checking our leadership, is my bottom line.
Actually, it's not random. And I'm glad you said what you said. Let me tell you, I tell you, the ancestors work in divine order when we come and do this. I'm telling you, they work in divine order.
Remember, right, because people don't know. We don't even talk about what we're going to talk about.
We just give topics and what the topics are, and then we flow with it.
Right. We don't say, you're going to say this, and I'm going to say that. Well, nah, not that.
We don't do that. We don't do that because we want to keep it authentic on this program, and we don't want to put words in people's mouths and things of that nature. So we don't follow that paradigm here. But I do let my fellow content creators here know what the topics are, and then we just flow with it. But I'm glad you mentioned that because this came across my timeline. Democrat Congresswoman Yvette Clarke commentary as it relates to the migrants. Now, remember, Brother Tad said, as Dr. Claude Anderson says, they are here to replace you. They are here to replace you. And a lot of them come with a lot of hate and angst towards us. And we're going to prove all of that tonight. We thorough over here. We keep it thorough and black over here. But I'm going to play this clip, and then we'll come in and we'll bring Brother Black in, and then we'll continue with the program. But listen to what Congresswoman Yvette Clarke says, of Brooklyn, that is. Here she go.
In New York, we have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants. And when I hear colleagues talk about, the doors of the inn being closed, no room in the inn, I'm saying, I need more people in my district, but just for redistricting purposes. And those members could clearly fit here. I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Redistricting purposes? What the hell she mean by redistricting purposes? But I'm just, I'm preaching to the choir here. I know y'all know what she's saying here. Now, here's a woman whose family comes from the island of Jamaica, setting policies against her very own brothers and sisters that built a nation for her and her family to come to. So we can work together. As Brother Sad says, people look at us differently in a Pan-African context as far as relates to what we should be doing. They look at us differently. And we got to be mindful of who you place a ballot for in these elections. I see my brother Black. Brother Black, you ready? Brother Black Smith coming to join us real quick. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, we got Brother Black. We got Flavius Jones on the check-in. He is an author. He is a blogger. You can check him out on Melanin Forever blog, melaninforever.blogspot.com. That's melaninforever.blogspot.com. You see it flashing across your screen. You can grab it and check it out as your leisure. Brother Black, I'm glad you Black with us for another Thursday. What's good with you? Have you been listening thus far?
Yeah, of course. I'm digging the scene. Thank you, Brother Tab, for your contribution. Sister Keisha, it's always great to see you. Thank y'all again for another pleasurable Thursday. That's gonna be my greeting. I'm gonna let y'all continue, and then I'm gonna get in where I fit in eventually.
Well, it's always good to have you, Brother Black.
Thank you, brother.
Because we definitely gonna need to talk about these solar flares and these aliens and
for sure.
It's going down heavy too.
They go alien right there. I think his name is Nadler.
That's the alien Nadler right there. Another one, Brooklyn. Here we go. These hats. Listen to what the hat is saying. Hold on.
Need immigrants in this country. Forget the fact that the farm that our vegetables would rot in the ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants. The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level, which means our population is going to start shrinking. And the ratio of people on Social Security and Medicare is going to increase relative to the number of people supporting them. And we need...
What did he say? What did he say? Their numbers are declining. They want to bleed you out. All of you who coming across the borders. And please stop saying Mexicans, Mexicans, Mexicans. We got to stop that group. Just because some people look a certain way, speak a particular language, or have a particular dialect, we group them all together. Like when you hear people with a Caribbean accent, everybody say Jamaicans. Everybody ain't Jamaicans.
That's what I used to say.
Brother? My Belizean brother right here, Brother Black right here. Come on, stop it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I digress. These people who are coming in are needed for numbers. For numbers. You heard the man, the congressman, say what they bringing them in here for. My question to you is, why do you keep voting and expecting different results? You cannot win fighting that system from within. It wasn't built that way. Nobody is going to train you to overthrow them. And if you're in the political arena, your job is to overthrow previous policies and create a new for you in your district. Now, Yvette Clark, I don't know. I know plenty of black people who live in Flatbush and Crown Heights. She ain't representing them. So I don't know who she representing. Is it the hats on the other side of Eastern Parkway? The ones who's building tunnels? Huh? Coming through walls with
The new
soil
pilgrims
mattresses?
and the new pilgrims that are coming in Flatbush. But one of the things I had a problem with what he said too is like, anytime we talk about the foundation, not we, anytime they talk about the foundation of this country, they talk about these countries is a country of migrants, a country, almost everybody here migrated here. It's disrespectful to us as Black Americans because we were the only people who came here by force. We were prisoners of war. We did not have a choice whether we could come here or not. And that's something they always try to just skate over. And it's so insulting because they'll use other Black people that do come from the continent, that do come from the Caribbean, that do come from South America, and say, see, there's Black people here that migrated here, but they negate the folks that literally built this country with our blood, sweat, and tears, and then turn around and say, we have no culture. And since we have no quote unquote culture, we have no identity. And if we have no identity, we have no say-so, which we know is not the truth. Not only did we give it music, not only did we give it its flavor, but some of the greatest geniuses have come from the United States. Whether we talk about the traffic light, the gas mask, the air conditioner, refrigeration, whether we talk about Henrietta Lacks and her cells being used to heal damn near the whole world, all from Black Americans. And this is, you know what I'm saying? This is a conversation we're having in the context of what it is to be Black in America nowadays, because some of us still hold the line of being Pan-African while we see other groups are slowly but surely sliding away from that. So we're the only ones still rabble-rousing for all Black people, but all Black people are not rabble-rousing for Black people. They're rabble-rousing for their own self-interest and trying to get in these other political parties that aren't looking out for your family and your children. And this is why I say that we got to start holding these people accountable, no matter who they are. Whether it's Dr. Sukiana, whether it's Sucker Polite, whether it's Mayor Adams, no matter who it is. We got to start approaching these people and letting them know this ain't rocking. Because we are the people that you're supposed to represent. And if you're misrepresenting me, we got a problem. Because I know how to speak for myself. But if I'm going to vote for you, you got to do what I tell you to do. Sister Keisha, I remember one time I was locked up. Don't hold that against me, audience. I was locked up and me and my lawyer had an argument because he wanted to work my case the way he wanted to. And I said, hold up, my man. You work for me. I don't work for you. You do what I tell you to do. And he respected that, though. Because he's not used to, he's a Jewish dude, he's not used to Black people talking to him that way. But people only have power over you when you surrender your power to them. You have to know there's nobody smarter than you, there's nobody stronger than you, there's nobody more powerful than you, than those you deem powerful. You're born with the same power and the same rights. And you have the ability to stand up for yourself. You don't need no politician to do that for you. But if you do decide you want to have a politician represent your interests and they drop the ball, then you within all rights, your God-given rights, to stand up and approach this person. We seen Sister Keisha do it when she was talking to them folks. We was talking about reparations and the people in the project. You know, Sister Keisha be bringing the smoke to everybody. But she's always on point and right and exact because they think most of us is just going to tuck our tails and run away and not hold them accountable. They think they're only going to be beholden to the Europeans or the powers that be. But no, you're going to have to answer to your constituents, the people who put you there. You owe us more answers than anybody else. But unfortunately, Sister Keisha, enough of us are not running down on these people, no matter who they are. Shout out to our brother Ashe, who ran down on Dr. Sukiana. You know, we not playing with these people, man. We're not playing. We need a real live drop squad, and that's the only way
Facts.
people will start taking us serious.
If it's Dr. Sukiyana or pedos in the community, it don't matter. We will pull up on you for real. We're not them talkers, but
Nah.
keeping in step with what we was talking about them bleeding out to increase their numbers. And see, the problem, the context should be this. The philosophy of white supremacy is made to maintain itself. They have made a philosophy and an ideology that will stick even if they're gone. But they want to maintain numbers. They will bleed you out. I hope those of you who are watching have seen this film, Rabbit Proof Fence. If you haven't seen this before, I think it might be free on YouTube. I'm not sure, but you should check. If you haven't seen Rabbit Proof Fence, Unwanted Third Race, here's a clip, and we'll come back and we'll discuss it.
Notice, if you will, the half-caste child. And there are ever increasing numbers of them. Now, what is to happen to them? Are we to allow the creation of an unwanted third race? Should the coloreds be encouraged to go back to the black? Or should they be advanced to white status and be absorbed in the white population? Now, time and again, I am asked by some white man, if I marry this colored person, will our children be black? And as Chief Protector of Aborigines, it is my responsibility to accept or reject those marriages. Here is the answer. 3 generations. Half-blood grandmother, quadroon daughter, octoroon grandson. Now, as you can see in the 3rd generation, or 3rd cross, no trace of native origin is apparent. The continuing infiltration of white blood finally stamps out the black color. The Aboriginal has simply been bred out. Now, we come to the Moore River Native Settlement. Ladies, most of you are familiar with our work here, the training of domestic servants and farm laborers. I would like to thank you for your continuing support. Hundreds of half-caste children have been gathered up and brought here to be given the benefit of everything our culture has to offer. For if we are to fit and train such children for the future, they cannot be left as they are. And in spite of himself, the native must be helped.
Good evening.
There you have it. There you have it. This is about the people living in Australia, the Aborigines living in Australia, and what happened to them. And if you don't think they won't do it to you, you just heard the congressman. You just heard the congressman. They will maintain that philosophy by any means necessary. And unfortunately, the majority of us don't have the political fortitude to eject ourselves from this process. It's very easy to do so. And we're going to show some highlights of the Freedom Party again when the history hitman, aka Mike Graves, was running for mayor. I got some footage I got to show y'all so you can understand what it is to have a black agenda and to be direct in that. And we don't have politicians who are willing to do that in this day and age. Your thoughts, Brother Black, on that film, Rabbit Proof Fence? I know you've seen it.
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago. I had it on my first blog. So, I'm very familiar with the movie. Very great movie. I suggest it to anybody out there. It's even deeper than what you show, but great movie, and I recommend it.
Yes, and you got ripped off said it is available free on YouTube.
Yeah.
He said he watched it 3 months ago, so I guess you guys can check that out at your leisure. Brother Ty, your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that a while ago, and to your point, they keep in step because not only do they have that movie as a propaganda campaign, but they also have the article, The Creation of Whiteness. I think everybody should check that out. It talks about how Southern Europeans were brought over here. They weren't always considered white, but they brought them over here and turned them white and then boosted their numbers. And that's the same thing that you see going on with these Latin American countries. Because in the area that I work, right, Sister Keisha, they have to put down their ethnicity when they apply for benefits and services. And they ask you, are you a black Hispanic or white Hispanic? But you have to pick one or the other. And most people are going to put what? The winning team, dominating team. So again, we're creating more white people with a different ethnic background, but their race is still identified as white. So again, to the other person that spoke, they're bolstering their numbers of whiteness. We have to be mindful. It's a game. It's technology. And we
I
see that
believe it.
centuries. Good, Brother
I'm sorry,
Black.
Tad. I'm sorry, Tad. No,
No,
finish,
I was
please.
back.
Oh,
That
okay.
was it.
I believe in the 1990 census. I don't remember which one. It was either the 90 or 2000. It's funny that you brought up Claude Anderson in that regard, because in his book, I believe Black Labor, White Wealth, that's the only book of his that I read entirely. He said that 90% of the Latinos in this that came here that had to fill out the census when they started separating Black Latino from white Latinos, regardless of color, said that they were white Latinos. Some of them as dark as me. So, that's telling insofar as how they think and, how they align themselves.
Brother Kev reminded us that even Biden told those, selected black leaders that their numbers are declining and black people work with Latinos, also telling them that he's not doing nothing for black people.
True.
So again, what is the conversation with the black vote as it relates to Joe Biden? There should be no conversation. And I said this before, until the Democratic Party atones for its crimes in the sanctioning in the enslavement of our people, not only that, the Democratic Party's crimes as members of the New York and Boston kidnapping clubs. We went through that on this program. They have to atone. Now, the way I see atonement is reparations, cash reparations, just like any other debt. And I know people say, well, this Democratic Party isn't the Democratic Party of old. Doesn't matter. If you're a business and I acquire your business, I acquire your assets and your debts. You acquired the debt. You have to pay it. And that's it. There is nothing else to discuss. Because if they can come up with billions and trillions for Ukrainians, Afghanians, Israelis, Guatemalans, Venezuelans, and whoever, they can come up with our bread. But don't listen to me. Because, we lost some great ones this past week. Baba Sekou Odinga.
Sure.
You had Dr. King this week. I think Viola Plummer transitioned as well.
Wow.
So let's go to the ancestors. We throw it back here on Thorough Black Talk. Let's listen to what Baba Sekou Odinga once said. Here we go.
Based on their own code of federal regulations, they shouldn't be here. I don't have any shot whatsoever of breaking any rules or any regulations. So, other than my political persuasions, I have no other idea. There are many people, especially African people in the prison system, who hate this system, who hate this government, who hate what's been happening to them as individuals. And if they ever took time to study their history, study the history of their people in this country and how it's affected them, then
betterment of their people.
Shout out to the African News Channel for that clip. But your thoughts, Brother Black, on Baba Sekou Odinga?
We lost another great one, like you said. Not overly familiar with the brother. I know the name, and I know he's been around for a long time doing great work for the community. Hey, like we talking about how we're being replaced in this country. We are actively replacing those who are going. So, we just got to get in where we fit in and continue to work. That's it. It's going to happen.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I see Sister Marcia getting ready in the back. You ready, Sister Marcia? She'll give me the thumbs up. Brother Ty, your thoughts?
Rising power, Brother Sekou Odinga. When he came home, I went to his welcome home party in the Audubon Ballroom. And this is what I'm talking about, leadership, Sister Keisha. They had a bunch of European trannies there giving out food, helping organize his welcome home party. And I was wondering what's going on through his mind that you fight so hard for Black people only to come out and see a bunch of trannies representing the quote-unquote movement, the struggle, in the historic Audubon Ballroom. I had to peel up out of there because I took my son Khalid with me, and look what we have for our children. So many contradictions. And I'm saying these are OGs in here, freedom fighters. Nobody felt it appropriate to tell them folks, get out of here, that we don't have the same fight, we don't have the same struggle. Because that's what I think of when I think of the elder / now ancestor Sekou Odinga. I think of the slap in the face. I think of the humiliation to strong Black people who is fighting against all of this degeneracy. I always say the difference between the Black struggle and any other struggle is we are fighting to restore things to its natural state. People are not born to be owned and enslaved. We are not supposed to be eating chemically manufactured foods. Everything that we do as Black people, those of us who are in the know, all of our fights is to return things to its natural order, our right state of mind, our right consciousness, looking at things through our third eye. This is what our fight is about. It is not about how many genders we want to identify with. It's not about whether we could be with children or pets. It's none of that foolishness. It's none of that. So everybody trying to align their struggle to ours is an insult. And when we don't G-check them, it's not they bad. That's our fault when we don't check that. So when I hear Sekou Odinga, I only think of that because I was looking in that man's face and I'm like, yo, he just did about close to 30 years. What is going on through his mind? Because I know when he left, it wasn't this. But
Come on.
You got the European trannies serving food. And I was like, what is this foolishness? In the Audubon Ballroom, where Malcolm took his last breath.
Not only when Malcolm took his last breath, but was the first Caribbean Day Parade held at the Audubon Ballroom.
Wow.
So much of our history is getting pissed on and crapped on. It's amazing. It's just amazing. It is amazing. Like you said, Sister Viola Plummer just transitioned. I met Mama Viola through Dr. Khalid. When I met Dr. Khalid, he sent me to her. He said, yo, I'm in Atlanta right now, but here, go here, and I want you to meet the people over here. Tell them I sent you. This is part of my lineage. This is part of my story. All this we're talking about is part of my story. This is how Brother Tad came to be, to sit here, sit on this platform. I came through the ranks. I walked with the giants. I remember when Geronimo G. Jaga Pratt came home, peace be upon him, and I met him at Boys and Girls High. I've been there to welcome our freedom fighters, but what are we welcoming them to? What are they coming home to? So what are we raising our children up to? Because I know we got an intelligent, sophisticated audience, but we're preaching to the choir. People don't see that this is an insult. Where's the strong, powerful voices that really speak in the best interest of our people? It ain't just us four here. It ain't just our audience. There's so many more, but people have to stop being cowards, and we have to start G-checking these fake leaders. That's where it starts. because we shouldn't be infiltrated. No way, no how. People supposed to get hands and feet on. They supposed to get dealt with. But I'm gonna step off my soapbox and
Speaking
let
of being
Sister.
infiltrated, and that's one of the problems that I have. And I always say this: you have to study the mistakes of the past so that you don't continue to repeat them. And we are repeating them again, again. Sister Marcia, glad you're black with us another Thursday. How are you? Your thoughts on Baba Sekou Odinga?
Well, first, let me say hello to my brothers and sisters here on another powerful Black Thursday, blacking it up. Yeah, this has been a tough week, right? We had Baba, enter the realm on Friday and Mama on Tuesday. So it's just like hitters, right? And like Brother Tad says, when you recall the time that you met these people and when you hear the stuff that they did, the impact that they did, especially for New York, right? These are New Yorkers, right? And to see so much of our community don't even know who they are. Like the Baba was historic with rescuing our big mother, Ashada Shakur, right? Nobody talks about that. I bet many people gave him his flowers, but nobody continually
Who
flowers.
spent some days at my grandmother's house while she was doing her things. But that's a story for another time.
Perfect. So, that whole
Sister Marcia, I got to cut you off for 1 second. Yo, K Fighter, when your book coming out?
One of these days, brother, you sounding like King Simon. He's been on my back for years.
Just that right there is a book. Just what you said right there. That's a whole book.
Listen, when it comes to my family, listen, I could write a book on my grandmother, working for Lucky Luciano by itself. So, it's coming. It's coming. I have to be in the right mind space to do that. But what I can say that I am doing is taking vital notes for that book. So stay tuned, brother. Stay tuned. Go ahead, Sister Marcia.
Sorry, Sister Marcia.
No worries, brother. The sanitation people are on my block, so bear with me. Yeah, and Viola, like, we don't know the story of Viola. We don't truly know her impact and what she did. And I'm not gonna outspeak. And I'm not gonna outspeak. But her work here in South Jamaica, Queens is pivotal. And it's not spoken about. It's not something that is taught to our children in elementary school, in junior high school, in any type of way. Do they highlight our local heroes who did things for us? And, no matter how big or small the thing that they did, it allowed us to stand where we're standing right now. And we're shitting on their work. We are all shitting on their work. We are not working to our fullest potential to create a legacy for our future generation. And they did what they did at their capacity, but we are not carrying it forward. We could talk about 100 million reasons why it's not being carried forward and 100 million reasons why those reasons are valid. But at the end of the day, we gotta do some better work in our lives to make certain stands so that, because the invaders are invading and they're invading strong, right?
Yes,
they are coming in. They are coming in strong. If you have 10,000 new people coming in daily in New York alone, that is a serious, serious problem. And they're changing everything before our eyes. Oh, now you don't need an education. Oh, we're going to give jobs. We're giving jobs and we don't need educations anymore, right? Master's degree, all right, but bachelor's, we don't really need those things. So all those brothers and sisters for the past 50 years that toiled to get a degree, to get a job, now they're like, wait a minute, what does my degree mean? Right? And I've invested how much money into getting these degrees. I've been in debt for the past 20 years to get this degree, and look at me now. Look where I stand. And these people are coming in, they're getting homes, they're getting jobs, they're getting cars, they're getting everything. And what are we getting? We're getting pissed on, right? And we're not saying anything, but go straight down that line. I was speaking to an elder last night, and I was talking to her, and she's like, but we don't know what to do. And I can honestly say the answers are out there, but the elders are not listening to the answers. And you don't want to get into an argument with an elder about change because they're tired. They're like, listen, I'm 80 years old. What change you're talking about? I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how that's.
But the thing is, Sister Marcia, you're right. You are right. And that's one of the problems that I had. Especially when social media was beginning to take off. And I was telling them where it was going. They were complaining about not being able to reach the masses in the mainstream for being locked out. But I was explaining to them that way of media is dead. Do you know what I went through because of that? People are afraid to get out of the way. Listen, I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm.
The millennials take it, go ahead with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to educate you and to guide you.
Absolutely.
You are the fighter. But those before us
didn't allow us. They didn't allow us to fight. They didn't want us to fight. They wanted to continue to be the helm. It's just like this whole one episode that you see on Instagram or something where the mother's talking about, I'm dating my daughter's friends and stuff like that. And you can't compete with your children. And that's what elders are doing today. They're out here. Oh, this brother got a lecture? I'm going to have a lecture and I'm going to do this. And my guy. Yes, your information is valid, but you're not giving the young people an opportunity to grow in the movement. And then you want to say, well, the movement ain't going nowhere and this and that because you're not helping us move. You're fighting with us. You're competing with us. You want to be us. Your time has passed.
And meanwhile, as my brother eloquently laid out, they're coming over here to replace you.
Absolutely.
With inks. So y'all don't have to listen to me. Listen to them. Here we go.
You working. No more money for you. Bye-bye. No more money for you. No more money for you. It's lazy. You lazy. No more money for you.
Now, where did he get the narrative that Black Americans are lazy from? You see what I mean? This is what I mean when I started the program and I said, the philosophy and the ideology of white supremacy will maintain itself because it's so ingrained into the fabric of the world. These people just got here today and they already coming at you. You got stabbing, you got sexual assaults, you got them robbing people, robbing the stores. Now, if a bunch of Black teens run into a store and rob a store, then you're going to see bullets flying. But these people run into a store, they coming in with shopping bags to Targets, your CVS's and the like, and they just taking stuff off the shelves.
Hey, Keisha, what about them? What about the ones knocking on the doors in Brooklyn? In Midwood and them neighborhoods down South Brooklyn, they knocking on doors and begging for food and money with babies in their hand and stuff like that.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
And that's everywhere.
The same neighborhood where they shut down the school.
Madison.
For a day. James Madison, the high school I went to, I told y'all, it's a very affluent neighborhood. The hats, Ukrainians and Russians, yeah, That's their territory over there. Very affluent. When I'm telling you that truancy vans picked us up daily, daily in the 80s. They not standing for that. So, of course, they had a little rally, little protest, and they said, you got to get these people up out of here. But because what was happening, as Brother Black mentioned, they going up to, people's homes, knocking on doors and begging and, all kinds of stuff. And the people said, we had enough of these shenanigans. You got to get these folks up out of here. They can't stay here. So, they let them come in. The first night it got cold. I think the temperature dropped to the low teens maybe. And they shut down the school and had the migrants sleep in the school and had the students learn remotely for a day. But at 5 a.m. the next morning, they had their behinds up out of there. 5 a.m. Now, everybody else neighborhood, they can roam around all day long in the streets. You understand what I'm saying? 5 a.m. They was back across that field, in the back of the field, in them tents. Am I right, Marcia?
You are absolutely right, because they G-checked their politician, right? You need us, and we give you money. That's, again, money makes things go round. The reason why they bought a bomb.
Check it out. Here she go.
The health of our kids. We worry about the education of our kids.
Tatiana Lerner's son is a junior at James Madison. She helped lead a group of parents and politicians protesting outside the empty school Wednesday. Children were forced to go to remote learning after it was used overnight to evacuate migrants due to high winds at the Floyd Bennett Field tent encampment.
If it's a one-time thing, it's bad enough. But if it's going to be a reoccurring event, it's definitely not acceptable.
Assemblywoman Jamie Williams has been raising the alarm about Floyd Bennett Field from the beginning and says now her daughter, a James Madison senior, is sitting at home, not learning a thing.
Don't think they're doing schoolwork. My daughter is home. You know what she has to do today? Submit some missing work.
At one point, tensions boiled over during the protest press conference.
You're claiming them to be filthy.
Desiree Joy Frias, a Bronx activist and lawyer, accused the gathered group of xenophobia. In fact, there was a bomb threat at the school overnight and many hate-filled calls to school officials, according to New York City Emergency Management Commissioner Zach Iskell, who oversaw the evacuation.
The bomb threat has been cleared by PD, and there's no longer a threat.
Iskell defended the evacuation and the use of Floyd Bennett Field as the best bad option the city has, as it struggles to handle thousands of migrants still arriving each week. He says the migrants were out of the high school by 4:30 in the morning, and remote schooling was chosen out of an abundance of caution in case.
What time they got them out of there? What time they got them out of there? I'm telling you.
You said 4:30. You said 5. It was 4:30.
That was being nice.
By 5, they were all out. I support my sister. By 5, the building was clear and the maintenance crew started cleaning up shop.
For real. And you heard, what was the lady's name? Tatiana. I told you what neighborhood it is. That's the Russians and the Ukrainians. And see the Assemblywoman. Now, did she have that energy when her family came to this country? I'm just saying. You see the philosophy and the ideology of white supremacy.
But let's also see what it is. But let's also talk about this, because this is an invasion. When my family came, and most of the people that I know came, it was through a sponsored program. These people are just flooding the airways. We came here. There was dues that had to be paid in order. Well, not me. I was born here, but they came here. Dues had to be paid. There was a little process, but at the same time, they did come here. They were brought over here to dismantle the system that was happening, right? Because the folks that were living here was creating something, a legacy that they were hoping to create for their future families. But because folks like my family and other people's family from the Caribbeans or the continent don't know the system, don't know what's going on, They're just like, put my head down, work, because I have an opportunity to do A, B, C, and E. So that's great. But at the same time, I fault people, because you're supposed to come in and understand where you are, who's around you, and all of these things. I think my family especially had a great opportunity. There was a program here called Manpower. Apparently Dr. Amos was part of it and stuff like that. And they were able to learn some things about the political system. They came here and they did something to assist in the struggle of Africans everywhere. They understood that power struggle that was happening here. Not so many people did that. And that's a fault to all Africans that ever come into any country and not understand the power struggle of the people that are already here. Don't sit there and just take over like you're taking over, because you ain't do nothing good. All of these other people all of the African people from wherever that came here has not truly established anything for their future generations either. Yeah, they have great jobs. Yeah, they're making great money, but that's not establishing a political foundation of growth for African people everywhere.
I feel you, sis. 100. Brother Edie Amin said, them people were like, pack your poncho, hombre, you gotta go. For real. They don't play. I went to high school out there. When I tell you the police, listen, they got a number 7 bus now that takes you to 17 blocks from the Kings Highway station to Quentin and Bedford, right? So they have a bus now. Back then, you ain't had no bus. So you had to walk them 17 blocks. The police followed us from the time we got off that train station to the time we stopped at there was every block we went, the police was there. When I ride over there, because I ride by Floyd Bennett Field all the time. Now, when you want to cross into Marine Park, there is a very narrow bridge. So narrow that if you're going in one direction, you better be quick, because the person coming in the opposite direction, if you two meet at the same point, you're going to crash. It's a very, very narrow. Even walking, you're going to have to walk sideways if you meet head up. When you get off the bridge, now normally it's kids in the area that live over there who be riding bikes and all that. When you get off that bridge, them kids gonna follow you. They're gonna follow you on their bikes wherever you go. So we better understand the time that we living in here, and we better understand that we are all we have. But as I said before, people gotta atone for the things that they've done, i.e., the Democratic Party, for its sanctioning the enslavement of African people, and after transporting slaves was illegal in this country, you had those kidnapping clubs that we talked about in New York and Boston and other places, and the Democratic Party was a contributor of that. Again, they have to pay their debt. But let's listen to Brother Suyan Kuti. So he's talking about the darkest political secret of Africa, something somewhat of what Brother Tad mentioned a few minutes ago. We'll come back and discuss. Hold on.
One of the greatest and darkest and dirtiest secrets of Africa today is that majority of our political leaders in Africa and politicians and military juggernauts, were all, agents of the slave trade. And so what can we gain when we are still being ruled by the same people that were willing to sell us for things, but today they sell us for Rolls Royce, for Gucci, for, the same things, these same Africans that believe that European things are more important than African people, and that's why they can't show anything in their entire existence that they've built other than the things that they can acquire and buy and accumulate, So it is time for African people to organize ourselves politically, to remove these people from our politics, so that we as African people can begin for once to take charge of our destiny.
I hear that argument, but I'm seeing things that, don't add up. Like I said in the opening, South Africa speaking up for Palestine against Israel. But I asked the question, what Arab nations are standing for South Africa in this political time? Now that the EFF wants to take over. I'm just saying, it's the ideology and the philosophy of white supremacy maintaining itself. And these are the things that we are going to have to change in the future. Now, we had to give honor and thanks to Dr. King this past week. And a lot of people, school children, came home talking that I have a dream stuff. I had to re-educate my grandson. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you got to. You got to, family. If you're not willing to die for anything, you ain't fit to live. Period. Listen to Dr. King. Don't listen to me.
Be afraid to die. I submit to you tonight. No man is free if he fears death. But the minute you conquer the fear of death at that moment, you're free. You must say somehow, I don't have much money. I don't have much education. I may not be able to read and write, but I have the capacity to learn.
Do you have the capacity to learn what the Democratic Party has been doing to Black people in this country? Do you have the capacity to learn the philosophy and ideology of white supremacy and how it permeates through the very fabric of not only this society, but the world? Your thoughts, Brother Ted?
Well, you know, Dr. King is my dude. And that's what I'm talking about. We have to have that gumption. We have to restore our own manhood and change this paradigm that we are weaklings. Look at the people who are supposed to be representatives of Black America or Black men in America. All faulty leadership. Dr. King was one of the last strong, him and Brother Malcolm. And sometimes some of our folks get so radical, they want to talk down on King. And that lets me know, Sister Keisha, these are the people who haven't studied Dr. King. You have not studied Dr. King, and you bought into the rhetoric that the Europeans were selling us, that the only thing he ever said was, I had a dream. But never do you go to less than 3 years later when he's talking about the Vietnam War, when he said, I fear my dream has been turned into a nightmare. I spoke prematurely. This is what Dr. King said, not Brother Tad. So he even admitted he made a mistake. Sister Keisha, you know, I always say sometimes you got to give our people room to grow. You know, I know you ain't with the shenanigans. However, this is an ongoing thing. And we're fighting with intelligence because it's also an intellectual and spiritual war. And we have to adapt to the technology that they play on us. One of the things that I did, and this is why my youth group party was so important, Sister Keisha, because we had to get to the young people's minds before outside sources do. And this is very important because we know that these people are not going to teach our children what they need to know to be successful and powerful in this world that's changing ever so fast. This world is changing faster than we've ever seen it. That's why we're on the brink of destruction, because there's so much happening so fast that the world we once knew don't even exist. They haven't even prepared us for this world that is growing into, molding into. And it's important that we help our children get ahead of the curve and let them know it's more than just the new song and dancing. Because that's what our kids do. They'll just jump on TikTok and start doing all kind of dances, getting low. And that's cool because we are creative people. But we also have to remind our children that we are intellectual giants. Because as sure as we talk about Dr. King, let's talk about him graduating college at how old was he when he graduated college? He was still a teenager, because I knew he graduated high school about 15. He went into college about 15, 16 years old, and then graduated about 19 years old. I mean, we're talking about a doctor. This man is certified. But then we have to read his books too, Sister Keisha, because our children think that all we're good for is sports and entertainment. And this is so unfortunate because our mind is our greatest weapon. The people that we revered as leaders, in our ancestors and the elders, they were intellectual giants. And we can't forget that. We cannot forget that. And this is what we want to develop with our young people. Don't just be courageous. Don't just be strong. Don't just be fearless, but also be an intellectual giant. Learn how to think your way out of problems, because this is important too. And not just think our way out of problems, but create. These things are important when we talk about leadership in our community, because most people think our leaders should just be rabble rousers, people who could talk a good one. Don't just talk a good one. Create a plan that's beneficial to the whole group, and let's operate in that plan's paradigm. That's how the Amish do. That's how the Chinese do. That's how the Jews do. They have their little think tank that create policies and agendas and say, this is what we're about, and we're not going to stop until we get this. This is how they done took over Palestine. Dr. Amos Wilson once said, and I'm going to pass the mic, Dr. Amos Wilson once said that it's unfortunate that when we teach our children to be intelligent, some people in our group say, oh, he's trying to be white. He's trying to be white. Dr. Amos Wilson said, no, our folks are not trying to be white, because if you were trying to be white, you would think about your own nation state. You would think about taking over the world. You think about having your own economic base. That's thinking white. What y'all talking about is nothing. And I see that we still having these little baby conversations about certain things. And the one place that we can start demonstrating our leadership skills and qualities is at home with our family. For anybody who ever seen me out speaking, chances are you seen my family in the crowd. This is not rhetoric. This is how we live. This is how we survive. This is how we eat. This is how we protect one another. We put theory into practice. This is just the micro scale. We got to do it on the macro scale. Dr. King's talking about leadership, qualified, strong leadership. He didn't do it by himself, and he always talks about how he didn't do it by himself. So we just got to pull together. But I'm gonna pass the mic, Brother Black.
Let's have a reminder, and we'll come back and discuss. We're going to come back with Black and Marcia, but I want our people to see what it is to have a Black agenda, and have an agenda specifically for Black people, however, beneficial to the whole of society. When mayoral candidate of the Freedom Party in 2013, Michael Graves was interviewed on New York One. Brother Leonard McNeil recorded it, the audio. He was on for a couple of minutes, and then they left, and we'll listen, and we'll come back and discuss. Hold on, family. Here we go.
Leading candidates for mayor are crisscrossing the city this weekend, hoping to pick up some last-minute votes. But there are more than a dozen other candidates who are maybe less well-known than Bill de Blasio and Joe Lhota, but they will also be on the ballot for mayor this Tuesday, and we're making sure you get an opportunity to hear from all of them, at least a little bit. Joining us to make their pitch to you, the voters, are Randy Credico from the Tax Wall Street Party, Michael Graves is from the Freedom Party, and Sam Sloan is from the War Veterans Party. Welcome to all of you, and thank you all for coming in. Now, I have studied up on you, but a lot of my viewers don't know who you are. Michael Graves, you are a former police officer.
I'm a former correction captain.
Correction captain, and you decided to run. Why?
I decided to run because as I walk out of my house, I see the food pantries ad nauseum. When there's a line for employment, I see people around the block looking for 10 jobs, and there's 2,000 people out there. So certainly I'm concerned about that. And when I hear these reports that 86% of Black and Latinos are employed, and I know that it's in excess of 50%, I'm very concerned about that type of reporting. So
when you see the major party candidates, or the Democrats and the Republicans, debating around these issues around jobs and so forth, what are they missing that you want to supply in the debate here?
Well, I think what they're missing is that first, the wages. The wages are definitely too low, and with respect to jobs, if we just have the will, just go green, we can just redo all of these buildings that will create employment. We could stop the private.
Hold on. Now, in 2013, Mike is talking about going green, jobs and unemployment for Black people, recognizing the problems that Black people were having when he left outside his house. We still talking about these problems in 2024, but the migrants didn't have to go this long without getting. Let's continue.
Privatization of schools. There's a whole host of things we can do within this current budget that can turn things around, and certainly we should explore those options.
We've got more to talk about on that topic and much more. We're going to do that after a short break, then we'll be back with these candidates. Later tonight, there are 6 statewide referendum questions that will be on the back of the ballot on Tuesday. I'll be joined by an NYU professor a little later to help explain some of the more obscure initiative questions. Stay with us. Road to City Hall talking with 3 candidates for mayor: Randy Credico from the Tax Wall Street Party, Michael Grace from the Freedom Party, and Sam Sloan from the War Veterans Party. And let's talk a little bit about education. For now, at least, the mayor has control of the schools and the 1.1 million students who go there. What would you, as what kind of chancellor would you be looking for, and what kind of direction would you give to the schools, Mr. Gray?
Well, I'd have somebody that's sensitized to the African American and Latino community, and certainly since they were able to characterize Bill de Blasio, let me take my opportunity and say that he is a proponent of the same stop, question, and frisk that we've seen from Bloomberg and Giuliani. He has ignored it for 12 years. You cannot reinvent yourself with a Madison Avenue commercial with your wife and your son. The fact of the matter is, for 12 years, he's going on record. He has been silent with respect to stop, question, and frisk, to now that it's fashionable and it's safe, especially since this current federal judge, what her recommendations were, even though it's been stayed. But the fact of the matter is, he cannot get away from his 12 years ignoring stop, question, and frisk. There have been a litany of police shootings, very ugly in nature, whether it was police officer Omar Edwards, who was killed, he was silent on that, whether it was Shem Walker in Clinton Hill, whether it was Kyle Coppin in Bed-Stuy. It is just amazing how he has been able to buy elected officials, buy Black preachers, and they are all silent now. They know that in his public, it was his job, his fiduciary responsibility as the public advocate to address these things. He has addressed none of it. And now with his contacts with the clergy, he has been able to reinvent himself, and it's ungodly the way he's done that.
Tell me what would you do about the direction of the police department when it comes to this question of stop, question, frisk? I mean, beyond the 4 corners of this particular case, the next mayor could drop the appeals and then and you could resolve it that way. But what would you want to see done as far as the way?
Well, the first thing would be to use the application of law. You know that Terry versus Ohio states you cannot profile that way, and it states the very way that you're supposed to do good police work. It is nothing wrong with good police work. I would stop and question anyone if I saw them 2 o'clock in the morning carrying a grand piano on their back. That raises questions. But just to stop a young man walking to the store to get a container of milk is racist in nature. And Ray Kelly, who's a lawyer and a well over 30-year cop, knows that well. And the fact of the matter, he has implemented this system. Bloomberg has backed him in that system. And people like the current public advocate, job was to challenge what was going on. He has ignored it, and that's wrong.
Okay, I did want to talk about schools. Let me ask you in our last minute, there are a lot of activists that are associated with the Freedom Party. You ticked off a number of cases where I know you and others have been active. I assume that will continue after Tuesday, regardless of the outcome?
Absolutely. No matter how it goes, I'm a co-founding member of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. We're going to stand strong. We're going to teach the community what to do when stopped by the police. We're going to talk to concerned mothers and help them when they have a child that's drafted by a gang. We're going to do all the things that we've always done, and that's going to continue irrespective of what happens Tuesday, but I expect to win.
Again, knowing what a Black agenda is, sticking to the program. And right now, it's like, I don't know, it's like everybody has folded. Everybody has folded. We have no allies in either party right now. None. None. Everybody's talking about people of color, abortion rights, everything else but us. But we're the bread and butter of the party. So, Sister Marcia, your thoughts on us having a black agenda, forming a black political party for us, but for the betterment of society.
I think it's long overdue. It is something that's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. I think that we missed out on 10 years, right? These 10 years post Michael Gray's candidacy, we should have been on the ground working a little bit harder. We should have been implementing some of the projects that he mentioned. There are so many groups out there that we could have been embarking our knowledge and growing our constituency. What needs to happen is a growth of constituency, and that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to take a lot of manpower. And I think that's one of the things that we don't understand in the Black fight. The Black fight takes a lot of work, and the Black fight needs money. We can't do this on a volunteer, voluntold, nothing. People have bills that they need to pay. And if they are exerting 40 hours with a man because that's what's paying their bills, and you want them to give the cause 40 hours for free, it's not tangible. We could look at our stories from the past. We could look at Malcolm. We could look at Martin. These brothers worked for us and we didn't give back to them. They unfortunately left this realm with nothing. And then we complain that there are trannies serving food because those tranny folks, they're giving up something. They're giving up something in order to be in that room to play. So there is a catch that's happening there that I don't agree with personally, but it's happening there. And to the sister that asks about the New York City mayors, it's one mayor for all boroughs, but then all boroughs have like a borough president that's supposed to speak to the mayor about the borough's problem. Does that work really well? I don't think so, but that's a case for another story for another day. But yeah, we have to work. And we need to get paid. We can't do work for free. It's not going to work like that. Nobody gets anywhere that works for free. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Got you, sis. Let's listen real quick to Sister Soldier, and we'll come back with Brother Black's and Brother Tad commentary. Here's what she's saying. How we do this.
Martin Luther King was organizing men, women, and children. We have an era right now where we identify ourselves as niggas, bitches, and bastards. How do you organize niggas, bitches, and bastards? Martin Luther King was organizing men, women, and children.
Keisha froze up again.
Oh no!
Yeah, every time this happens in the second.
Every time it gets good.
Yeah.
Every time it gets good. But Brother Tad, Brother Black, how do you chime in on the political strategy of a Black empowerment that's coming forth that we're going to birth? We're all going to birth this.
Go first.
Okay, brother. What I would say, Sister Marcia, is we need to take a page out of the Republicans. Some years ago, when they wanted to be a little bit more conservative than the more moderate Republican, they formed the Tea Party. Black people can form a party inside of the Democratic Party because most ain't gonna leave. And that way that you can consolidate the vote, because it only takes 15% of Black people to vote along with the rest of the country in order to exact change. But on the real, I feel all this in light of knowing all the cosmic stuff that Tad want me to talk about that I haven't spoken about yet is what's going to change everything, and not voting. because like the sister said, she needs to re-register her constituency. So with all these Latinos who we already established identify as white, there it is. It is known that the Venezuelans, the black ones at least, are all Trump support, virtually are all Trump supporters. So that's I'm gonna end with that. Get it.
Yeah. So anytime I talk about leadership, I think about personal experiences, which brings me to my conclusions. We don't put our money where our mouth is. Let's take us as African-centered, Pan-African, however you want to identify us. Even on the grassroots level, let's say just us not even operating in the political sphere. Our grassroots organizations don't even organize to put their money together to create lobbyists, to send them anywhere and represent our interests. I went to Dr. Ben's funeral, right? And a lot of people missed this. But Reverend Calvin Butts crapped on the whole African-centered community. He said, here this man lays here, spent his whole life and career trying to debunk Christianity. He said, but where do you have to have his funeral? I said, damn, bomb, which is true.
Wait, Brother Tad, he said, in my house.
Yeah.
In my house. That was hurtful.
Yeah.
You talking Dr. Ben or Dr. Clark?
Dr. Ben.
Yeah,
Dr.
okay.
Ben.
Okay,
Dr.
yeah.
Clark's funeral. I was at Dr.
Because Dr.
Ben's.
Clark was waked in St. James Church on 140th and St. Nicholas. I was there for that.
Okay, this was what? Riverside, right, Sister Marcia?
Riverside? Okay.
What said that? But that was an indictment. But you know what? You know the crazy part, right, Brother Blacksmith? A lot of times when we hear the truth, we either get offended or we ignore it. And a lot of people ignore it, but that is factual.
Absolutely. They all
ignored it. All of these African-centered organizations that are collecting dues now. Let's be clear. Because some of these organizations are collecting money because you need it to function. But why aren't we creating a war chest? Why aren't we taking this thing serious?
No, we do, brother. I got to answer that question for you.
We don't.
No. I'm not saying you per se. Because the fact is we're not taking it serious. That's why we still even got to have these conversations. That's why we still ain't got one building.
Absolutely.
One building where we can honor our transition elders and freedom fighters. What do you think Mama Viola Plummer funeral is going to be? What do you think Baba Sekou Odinga's funeral going to be? Where's the African Center? And we got little pockets, like little buildings, storefronts. That's cool. I'm not knocking that. What I'm talking about is on a grander scale, on a bigger scale that could really house us, that we are really putting our money together, that we are sending people to Albany or whatever state capital there is to lobby in our interest. See, when we're not doing that, anybody we vote for ain't gonna have nothing change because we're not putting our money where our mouth is. Because the money is what's gonna move people. Because when the lobbies go up top with that bag, they go talk to the people. Yo, I got 10,000, but I need this bill pushed. I need this passed. That's how the game go. Not 10,000 for you to get a Gucci suit and then go up there and say, what you gonna do for black people? No, these people
a Rolls Royce. I got a Rolls Royce driving up.
This is how the game
for my community.
Professor Anthony Browder said the unfortunate thing about our folks is we learn the rules of the game after everybody done went home. You don't see Jewish people running out voting in blocks, but how is it they get everything they want done? Dr. Claude Anderson already told us what to do. And the sad part is many of us are cool with the rhetoric. We like that we could regurgitate points in books, but we don't translate that into real tangible action within our community or even within our own lives. We got to be honest about that. We keep talking about being warriors, but we don't eat right. Some of us won't even walk. We won't even walk. You've been to a lot of programs. We not in no shape, form, or fashion ready to fight anybody physically. It's only a handful of us that are really ready. Because when I'm in Central Park or Prospect Park on a Sunday morning, running those miles, I only see the ops in the park. When I'm in the hood, I see us going to church with the canes and the fancy hats And ain't nothing wrong with taking some spiritual time out. But the fact of the matter is, those helping hands we looking for is at the end of our arms. We got to stop looking for other people to do what we have to do for ourselves. And it's just so sad. It's just so sad because there's so much more we can do, but we don't. We don't put pressure.
We don't want to do it, Brother Tad. I just have a feeling that we don't want to put the effort into the.
I'm gonna give you the mic, right? But we don't even hold accountability for Dr. Sukiyana with a whole decade of collecting money just to educate our children. And you educate children, I educate children. We do it in libraries, in community centers. We still educating our children. You don't need it to be grandioso if you don't have a sustainable plan. But if you want it to be grand like that, you need to organize and work with people and stop being so ego-driven, because that's what a lot of this leadership is about. It's about the egos. So if we're going to talk about leadership and political action, first we got to sit down and really have a strong conversation about what it is we're doing and what direction we really want to go in, because some of our folks don't even engage in politics, and you're not going to make them. But we still need these people to have some level of civic engagement, even if it's not political. All right, I get it. You don't want to vote for nobody, but can you organize this food pantry? Can you organize this? We're gonna educate our children on finances. You know what I'm saying? Do something in the community, not just talk about it. But I'm sorry, Sister Marcia, go ahead.
No, Brother Tad, you're 100. I just feel that we don't put the effort in the action. And I know people are like, oh, we don't need to, we could work for free and we could do this, but nobody else is asked to work for free. Only us.
Listen, I'm talking about from the Freedom Party. When you look at the Freedom Party, one of the reasons why we couldn't challenge the Democratic leadership in this city, in this state rather, is because of those dollars, right? We had 3 attorneys who were the bread and butter of a political party, and also trying to be managers of the party at the same time. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Burning the oil. Burning that
every morning. You know, listen, when I tell you, my husband put up with a lot. Getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm serious. To meet Brother Leonard at 4 in the morning so we could catch up with Mike, and we going crisscrossing the state.
Wow.
Transportation alone. You're going up against a machine. The Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the Working Families Party. We're going up against a machine. But I could tell you, a lot of the black senators and congresspersons in this state were against us. 100%. And some of the folks that y'all like a lot were against us. We had an op in the midst on behalf of the Democratic Party. And some people like him. When you go up against a system, you see what people are really made of. You really see. And I saw a lot of people fold like cheap suits.
Especially when, you know, for an op, somebody's making my paychecks. Y'all not doing much for me. And this is what people don't understand. There is strategy with finance. And if you don't understand that strategy, you're not even playing checkers. You're playing Connect Four. That's all you can do. You can connect the dots, but you're not making a dent in the problem of our society, of our nation as African folks across the world. The brothers talking about on the continent, people buying Rolls Royce and big ass houses that nobody could live in. Like, I'm not mad with a big house, but at the end of the day, how far is this big house going to take you? Unless you're really making sure that it's going to last several generations. You understand? And This is not the case for us right now. We are too superficial. We're not looking at the big picture. We're just like this. Oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. We really have to invest in ourselves. It's the same way that I was talking to a brother about a program, right? And the brother's like trying to recruit other people into the program. And he said, well, some of the people that I'm trying to recruit said, why we got to pay for it? Why it can't be free? I said, wait a minute. Freedom ain't free. And if you think you're going to get something for free, you're crazy. And you're not asking you a slew of money. If you were to go somewhere else, they would ask you much more. But everybody wants everything for free. And everybody wants for people to work for free. I didn't go to school to work for free, and I refuse to work for free anymore. It's not fair. It's not fair. But that's just me.
I feel you. Sister Veronica says, use their strengths. They use their strengths. The hats never tear down their own, but Negroes, Sister Soldiers say the word Mr. and Mrs. Maddox, I am their UAM. But hold on. They do tear each other down. They do tear each other down. However, the philosophy remains the same. No matter what's going on, we ain't going to let them get ahead of us. They do. They don't like each other. Let me tell you something. I worked with hats for most of my life, and I'm telling you, they don't like each other at all. There's no difference. They just won't let you see it. Just like the regular folks. You don't see Hannity going at what's his name, Tucker Carlson, even though they have different perspectives and point of view as far as white supremacy is concerned. The goal is to be supreme.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't going at each other.
Not in public.
By staying on code.
They stay on code.
And I think too, Brother Black, because we've never had power in the last 10,000 years, when you get it, you don't know how to act. No, Fudu and what's his name? Hey, that's how you pronounce his name? You next. But as far as he is concerned, we're going to have to, as Black said, get on code, because all we have, everybody is against us. Everyone.
And
Brother Tag,
yeah, because something Sister Marcia said and something Brother Kev said. Brother Kev said, we have a poverty consciousness and mindset. And I agree with that, because it's in alignment with Sister Marcia said. People always say, why do you want to charge? Why do you want to charge? But when the people want to go have their drinks, when they want to go to the movies, when they want to get them new Louis Vuitton Timberlands that's out, they find the money. But when you talk about sustainable communities where our children don't have to commit crimes, because we got businesses in place, we have an infrastructure in our community that is hiring our people to put money in their pockets, people don't see the value in that. We only see the value in in cash and carry. You know what I'm saying? I want to buy this leather jacket, I got the money. But if you say, yo, can you donate $20, $40, $50 to my campaign? Oh, bro, I ain't really got it right now. But the moment payday comes, that check is already spent on a whole bunch of stuff that they don't need. On a whole bunch. And so it's amazing. And it goes back to what Brother Kev said. It's the mindset. It's the mindset, because in our community, we don't have a real conversation about value. We don't know what the value of anything is. We know the cost of things, but we don't know the value, because the things that are valuable don't have a price. We're talking about our lives. We're talking about our future. Many of us have children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren. We have some children in our village, whether they're biologically ours or not. They're children within our village. But we don't see the value in establishing an infrastructure that we can truly control, that ensures that they have a better chance than we had. You know what I'm saying? It's just so crazy that people don't get that part, because we talk about the ops, we talk about the system, we talk about the enemy, but then we want to leave it up to them to correct our children. We want to leave it up. Well, what the school doing? What the school doing? They doing social promotion. That ain't right. That kid ain't even reading on the. It's our
But what
job.
are you doing? Your child can't read. You know your child can't read. Why aren't you investing in time in your child to get your child up to the game?
With my children, when they were little, instead of me reading to them, I let them read to me. They say, Daddy, can you read this book to me? I'm like, I'm going to do you one better. You're going to read to Daddy. And this is how we develop the reading skills, the critical thinking skills. We expand their vocabulary. These little things that we can do in the comforts of our own home have a big impact, but we don't see the value in investing that little bit of time in our own children. It's just crazy. And I'm off my soapbox.
Speaking of children in the schools, this comes across my timeline. Y'all better be careful and listen to your children when they come home and they tell you things. You know, I know you're tired. You've been working 2-3 jobs just trying to survive. It's a lot. That too plays a part because, you know, my parents and grandparents didn't have to work 2 and 3 jobs to maintain themselves. Now we do. The war has been, listen, it's been amped. It's been amped. But we still in this mode. That's why we so far behind. But let's listen to what a Baltimore school principal who was caught on a hot mic allegedly making racist, anti-Semitic remarks towards students, teachers, and parents. These ungrateful Black kids that can't test their way out of a paper bag. Here we go. We'll come back and discuss.
You know, I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these dumbasses here every day. Between these ungrateful Black kids who can't test their way out of a paper bag, or these teachers who don't get it, how hard is it to get these students to meet their grade level expectations? Lawrence and Ravenel should have never been hired. And don't let me get started on DJ. I'm going to drag his black ass out of here one way or another. I'm going to get on this. I'm just so sick of the inadequacies of these people. And if I have to get one more complaint from one more Jew in this community, I'm going to join the other side. You know, I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these dumbasses here every day.
Okay, so these are the educators in these schools. Everything is on 10. You got to watch out for these Karens and Kens. Children have to be on alert in schools. I mean, this is where we at. So, you know, we've said it here many times before, whether you want to believe it or not, you know, power should always be the goal. If we're not seeking power, we're playing with ourselves. But don't listen to me. Listen to the great Dr. John Henry Clark.
We have to stop dealing with illusion. We cannot ask the people who programmed us into oblivion to program us out of it. So far as I'm concerned, education has but one honorable purpose, one alone. Everything else is nonsense. And that is to train the student to be a respectful and a responsible handler of power. People do not train you in how to take their power away from them when they hold power by controlling you. To expect this of other people is a contradiction in terms. Freedom is something you do not wish upon, you do not dream upon. Freedom is something you take with your own hands. It is never secure. First, we have to.
And that's the conversation real ones need to have. What did he say? They are not going to train you. They are not going to select you for representation in their parties to overthrow them. It's never going to work. Never. They beat former white Congressman Schumer, not Schumer, but Sumner, on a congressional floor in the 1800s when he warned Black people, you better have your own. You better have your own. They beat him to death, almost to death, for trying to warn black people. Dr. Clark has just told you, power should always be the goal, and you can't expect anyone to educate you to be better than them. So again, when you look at the grand scheme of things, as how far behind the United States is as far as education is concerned, it's right in line. And now you have the state of Florida who is trying to criminalize you for calling someone a racist or telling on somebody who did something against you. They're trying to criminalize free speech. What have I been saying here on this platform for years? They try to criminalize free speech. The only other option is the Second Amendment. Are you ready to have that conversation? I'll get off my soapbox. Brother Tad, your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is the power of Google and YouTube. The primary search engines on the planet right now, where people get all of the information from. And this is our main means of communication. But since it's a privately owned company, they don't have laws, but they have policies to where they can just shut us up and silence us, because this is how people are starting to communicate. So you think you have to say SA when we talk about people who've been abused. You can't even use the R word anymore. You have to say drapes, or, capes, or something like that. Just to have an honest conversation, but this is how the game goes. Because you think even with credit cards, you can't do much without credit cards anymore. A lot of places don't accept cash. It's a whole way that they're finagling the system to slowly silence us and crush us to where the Constitution is going to be null and void. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Blacksmith, maybe from my research years ago, they already have a new Constitution in place. They already have one in place. They're just letting this whole theatrics play out before they crush what we currently think is a Constitution, and they usher in the new one. This is what the movie The Purge is about, with the new founding fathers. This is like we talk about new white people. This is why they write in our story. So we can't even rely on these folks to tell our story. This is why it's so important that we learn our story so that we can tell it to our children. And at the same token, you got plants on the internet that talk all kind of foolishness and say that Africans were never kidnapped and we got the story backwards. We was actually stolen from here and then taken to Africa. And people are buying this foolishness hook, line, and sinker. Now, and what they do, right, Sister Marcia, Brother Blacksmith, check this out. What they do is take small pieces of a story and then embellish it. Because when they talk about Africans being taken from here and then took to Africa, all they talking about is Liberia. Come on, they tell a piece of the story. Because what a lot of people don't know is that Abraham Lincoln, before he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, he wrote to the British Crown and said, yo, we need a place to send these people to in Africa, because if we don't send them home, we're going to have problems with them as long as they're here. And we've been
and this is where he had the commission with Frederick Douglass to carve land in Haiti for the Africans living here in America. So it's not a beginning story. And because we don't want to study, it's just the sad part is that if we took 6 months, you don't have to study everything. You study a little bit and then figure out what your niche is and keep going forward with it. But we don't want to do all of that. We don't want
to. This was Sukiana School is supposed to be for. This was Sukiana School supposed to be for. We done gave up the money, yes or no? Yes or no? Did we not?
I did invest. I
know I did too.
And I invest time too. So I was working. I was ready for it. But it's not happening.
We all worked, but we all got robbed.
We did.
We all got robbed.
And look at him on all these platforms saying all this rhetoric. He has all these platforms saying all these rhetorics, and nobody still is G-checking this brother because listen to this black man and blah blah blah.
You know why, Sister Marcia? I'm gonna tell you why. He don't want to sit around anybody that's gonna G-check him, because when he came to Mama Maddox memorial service, he was nervous as a hooker in church. A lot of them was. Me and Sister Keisha and Brother Mike were sitting right there side by side, and we saw the nervousness because they know they can't run that game on us. You can't run the game on people who've been on the ground doing real solid work. You seen Brother Mike ran for mayor. Not just that, but he also held down the brother in Long Island where he had to shoot the little, where he had to protect his family against the invaders. I want to make sure I get the language right on YouTube.
John White.
You talking about John White? Yeah,
exactly. But who was standing there with that man? Our brother Mike Graves. How many times people seen me and Sister Keisha at press conference, front line, and that's just TV stuff for those who don't know. Because what about the stuff we do behind the scenes, educating people, organizing? Sister Keisha just did a clothing drive, food drive, all the stuff that we do behind the scenes that ain't on camera, just out of necessity because we know things have to be done. So we try to support everybody. So we put our money where our mouth is. We gave thousands of dollars to Sukiana school, and Sukiana now is all of a sudden now you are a hip hop expert. Now you a relationship expert. And man, yo, I don't respect no dude who can't take care of his children. If you can't even guide your own family, don't come in the community like you got all the answers. I'm sorry. You don't got the answers, Sway. I'm sorry. If your baby mamas is beefing about you, bro, I think you need to fall back and reevaluate this. I think you need to fall to the back of the line, help behind the scenes, because we always need people to sweep and put up the chairs after the conventions. But don't be front line talking about you the King Kong of this thing and your house ain't in order. Literally and figuratively, because we saw when you turned the mic around too. We saw when you turned the camera around. Come on, Jack.
Again, you know, the
we
brother
gotta run down on these people is my point.
Absolutely.
We really gotta run down on them, hold them accountable.
That's the
because
case.
There's no accountability.
And there needs to be scenes of this, because people won't believe it until there's scenes. Once there's scenes of these things, because we live in this forward community of Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, everything, TikTok, everything needs to be a scene. So without the scene, no one is going to believe that somebody tried to say something or somebody tried to do something when there are billions of us like-minded across the state. I know personally across the state that has been trying to have real conversation with the brother, and the brother has constantly dumbed us down.
Because he's a coward. He's a coward. Shout out to our brother Ashe SJ who approached
Absolutely.
I wish somebody would have caught that on camera, because Ashe ain't no coward. Ain't none of us no cowards. But I'm glad, brother Ashe. But see, then when his supporters come out and be like, "You wrong, brother, you wrong, you wrong." Yep. That's celebrity worship that we do in our community too.
And that's our biggest problem within the awakened quote unquote woke people who steal from the community, because the people that came out to say you wrong were the number one stealers of the community in a particular time. Here's where I'll say I'll G-check my elders, because my elders knew that this person had schemed them and robbed them, and they never said anything, and they allowed this person to continue to scheme and rob us, and the cycle continues. We are just perpetuating something that we know had happened, and we don't understand the G-check because we've never been presented with a G-check. So it's like, oh, I said something, which you did a great job, but what you said needs 1,000 people saying it too. It can't just be
what's
one.
The universal language, Sister Marcia? You know it's a universal language? Violence. How do you tame a lion?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Yo,
I don't disagree.
What words can't convey, the hands can.
I don't disagree.
God works through the hands of man. That's how God works. You read your Bible, you read your Quran. God ain't come down and touch nobody. He sent somebody. He sent somebody, put hands on somebody. That's the only thing people understand, because as long as we keep talking about it, we playing.
That's right.
We doing this.
spirituality, even in spirituality, they sent down Ogun for a reason, right? They sent down the lights for a reason, because they knew that words weren't making it. The flows of the water of Oshun wasn't doing it good enough. We needed a little bit more strength. So yeah, we just
you needed the foot guard. You need the hand and foot guard to deliver the message. I mean, we laughing, but it's serious, because
no, we're laughing in good spirit.
The reality is that's the only thing people understand. I'm gonna take it to a book I read before. One of my favorite books called "Eyes to My Soul" by Dr. Tyrone Powers, The Rise or Decline of a Black FBI Agent. His father was a big bully in the house. His father used to beat up the mother, beat up the kids. What happened was the older brothers, Frank, Nate, and Quincy, they grew up. And you know what they did? Got rid of leadership. They beat Pop Dukes down and kicked him out of his own crib. Too long you've been doing this foolishness. Now we done organized, we rallied, we done ate our spinach, we got our weight up. Now you got to go. That's the microcosm now. We got to do that on a macro level. This is what we got to do in our communities. Stop letting these people with these big names, big egos, and big lectures still run amok in our community, because they're not doing nothing. They're not doing nothing. I remember when I came into the movement, all that was called was lip service. That was called lip service. And that's all we getting right now. Peace upon Dr. Khalid. We seen Dr. Khalid go down to Jasper, Texas, and confront a whole group of Europeans. They tried to jump on the brother, but we know Dr. Khalid was no coward. My point is that be about what you say you about. Don't pop junk from the comforts of your bedroom and your living room, all on your YouTube, like you telling somebody something. Nah, get in these streets and put hands and feet on people. That's what's necessary. That's why Sucker Polite stayed out of our perimeter. And when he came humbly. All that rabble rousel, all that rhetoric. Sorry, Sue and Seti, same thing. All these dudes was beating their chests on camera, but when they in our presence, you don't see none of that. You don't see, and I put, God bless my mama, put that on her name. You don't see none of that tough talk. And this is why, because they know we will G-check them, because we have G-checked them, because all they do is humbly, no, we gonna talk. No, come on, I love y'all, man. Come on. We supposed to be brothers.
And they never want to sit down and have real conversations. No. Yeah. We're gonna schedule it. We're gonna schedule that. They just keep skeeting by. They pick up their money and skeet on out with whatever they quote. And again, so some of the time, some of the promoters allow this things too, right? Because the promoter knows that I'm about to cash in. So it's a cycle of things that has an error that needs to be corrected.
We know what's going on, but how do we make it stop? We approach them and we hem them up, let them know we serious. Like Harriet Tubman was serious. Like Nat Turner was serious. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. We got to cut that out now. Just because we got matching dashikis don't mean we on the same team. We got to cut it out.
Absolutely.
I'm always going to be me. I don't know how to be nobody else. I don't want to be nobody else. I'm not trying to pander to nobody's ego. I don't care how long you've been in the movement. I don't care how many books you read or write. If we got a plan and a goal and you're hindering it, you have officially made yourself an op. And I'm from the blocks where we deal with ops. We don't do this with the ops. Sister Keisha from Fort Greene know how to give it up. We don't play with the ops. And this is my point about all this false leadership within the movement. There's only a handful of real ones, but they need our support. Not just in presence, but also financially. Because a lot of stuff has to be financed. And this ain't a ploy to fleece nobody out their money, because every time we organize something, we did what we said we were going to do. Never did we take anybody money under any false pretenses or not deliver. Folks got to check our track record, because there's times we put our own money up. More times than this is a thankless job. You don't get paid for this. You do not get paid for this. If anything, you become a target like our brother Blacksmith.
And this is why we can't work for free, because we'll invest 40 hours
And we
to
got to
create
jump
and to
who
create a
are working for pay and
spectacular
deliver.
event. We'll have a spectacular event. We'll have everything there. We'll do everything. And everybody wants to say that you're not owed a paycheck. My God, do you know what I did? If you were me working for someone else and someone else told you, oh, by the way, you're not getting paid, you would quit your job. I'm not quitting the movement. I just want a financial understanding that I am working for you and you are working for me. It's a can't even say the word quid pro quo, something like that, but it has to be that reciprocity. And everybody doesn't understand that reciprocity works. You know, every other group, nation of people are respecting each other's time, but nobody in our community want to respect each other's time. And I'm a little tired of that.
Speaking of the ops, while we were campaigning, we kept everything in house. There were times we didn't get along with each other. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Speaking of the ops, and next time you see the history hitman, Brother Tad, you ask him. I almost came to blows in a meeting, and somebody grabbed me. He's no longer here. Peace be upon Brother James Bryson. But Mike Graves was like, let her go. Because I was going to yap her up for real. She needed to be yapped up because I saw she was causing division. I saw the op for what it was. And I had to pull up on her. So she can thank James Bryson that I ain't kick her teeth down her throat for real. Because, even Mike was like, let her go. Because this got to stop. I see the op for what it is. And you always have what Maddox used to call these saboteurs who will come around you and mess things up. But we coming down to the end of our program. Brother Black, they getting all these sightings all around the place. You told us to look out for Project Blue Beam nonsense. And to stay on code and, to stay afloat because they were going to try these shenanigans.
Yes, ma'am.
But, give us the 411, brother.
As far as the alien sightings and UFOs, which have been happening for a long time, I believe in this is how long ago this goes back. William Cooper said in his classic book, Behold the Pale Horse, that there would be some type of alien revelation, whether they're underground in space in another dimension and they can cloak and come in, whatever you want to call that. And it's only going to increase, like I told you last year, with the sightings of aliens, UFOs, and celebrity gossip. Something we didn't even talk about today, but there hasn't been any big news story in the last 3-4 days. So I'm sure something to come out tonight, tomorrow, next week, whatever. We just got to just keep our heads on a swivel. Make sure that if it's true, that hopefully, they say that most of the entities that are otherworldly are friendly. Not most aren't, going to be some of these movies we've seen like Cloverdale, where New York just gets invaded by giant aliens that just hell-bent on coming down here and making us lunch meat. Right. It's just crazy how everything is happening simultaneously. It's partial distraction. We had the movies that just came out a few weeks ago in Just Leave the World Behind, and then that alien thing in Miami a few weeks ago. I mean, it's just going to increase. Use discernment to determine if it's real or not in your way of looking at life.
One question, brother, because you answered one of them, said they're friendly. I got one question for you. Are the aliens black?
For the most part, yes. Especially the Anunnaki, we supposedly come from Anunnaki, and they are definitely black. If you want a prime example of what an Anunnaki looks like, it's like when the Predator got uncloaked in the movie, the first movie.
So they're coming back with dreads?
We've always had dreads.
What happened to yours then?
It fell off Atlantic and Fulton. I got cut in Albee Square Mall.
You know I gotta mess with you, bro.
You know, I'm gonna leave the Bronx alone. Cause you know, even on the Freedom Party,
I said Albee Square Mall. I ain't say nothing about the Bronx.
Listen, even on the Freedom Party, the public advocate candidate is a Bronx native, Attorney Mike Lloyd. So you know, giving the Bronx love, we gave Bronx love.
Thank you, Sister Keisha.
But it's funny how when we were running, trying to raise money for the Freedom Party and the Freedom Retreat for boys and girls, a lot of these charlatans came out to raise money for them. Then they changed once the head started to get big. You know, all of them, Sucker Polite, Sarah Suicetti, Dr. Sukiyana, all of them. All of them. Zaza Ali, Professor Griff, go down the list.
Bishop Jakes.
Down the list. But then the head got big. See what I'm saying? This addiction of attention. Boy, if you don't know how to navigate yourself, you will get caught up in some foolishness. But this is where we're at. But we coming to the end of our program. Sister Marcia, your final thoughts and commentary.
Well, I hope that as we grow and glow in our Black-tasticness, that I am always G-checked by my brothers and sisters, because I need that pin. Deflate me immediately, because I am here for the people and I'm not here for the buying of stuff. Stuff will come and go. The people will last forever. You know, that earlier clip that you shared with them talking about how to identify people and maintain the code within people is very interesting, because as the natives, the indigenous people of America, they have a genealogy thing that helps them clearly identify themselves as part of this group. I should not want for us as African people across the globe to end up being identified by this chart. This is not a true way to live. And as we were the first people, let us reclaim our position as the first people. We may have lost power, but we can reclaim power. And by reclaiming power, you help your people live. Nobody can live for free, and nobody should work for free. You won't accept that for anyone, anywhere else. You go somewhere, they tell you work for free. You're like, nah, son, I'm out. So you shouldn't have to work for free in this capacity as well. The movement is real. Our people are real. I encourage us to continue to study. I encourage us to join an organization. Find somewhere that you feel like you belong, because we need you to assist, and we will work with you. And with that, have a great week. Make time flourish as time may flourish. And I love y'all all.
Peace, sis. Hey, Sister Keisha, before you pass it to Tad, I want to address something that I didn't talk about some minutes back because I got distracted. I don't know what happened. I don't remember. But as far as the conversation, in particular, you and Marcia were having, Brother Tad, was about how we don't have a building to honor our elders who, you know, to have a repast where it's just us. We don't got to pay anybody to rent their buildings and stuff. Remember, as well as in the South, for the most part, the U.S. government, once it became formed after the Civil War, as well as they took land away from those blacks who found their way off the plantation, however, or building with freedmen or what have you, you have to understand they did the same thing up north with real estate, where it's infrastructure. So even though they didn't take the land, they took the buildings. The same thing that happened with the slave theater.
Garbage.
The same battle we were having with the Dempsey and that Southgate lady that came in there, all those things, and then the building that the judge owned up the street off of Fulton. I don't remember the exact coordinates right now, but y'all know what I'm talking about, because I even came to some of those meetings before I had to go to Honduras some years when we first met back in them days, physically.
They all land under
Right.
taxes. Oh, they didn't pay their taxes.
Right, exactly.
You
Those
know what I
kind of
mean?
things and so on and so forth. So we used to own a lot of real estate, in particular in New York.
But Brother Black, to your point, that then lends to the conversation of they opened their doors for free to have events. Nobody helped them pay them taxes. As they kept giving out everything for free, they may have forgotten that they have monthly taxes or annual taxes to pay.
Right.
And then by the time year 3 comes up, it's $50,000 and they don't know where to go with it. Or you help raise the money to save a building, particularly in Harlem, and you give the money to the person that's quote unquote managing the building, and somehow the money didn't get to the right place.
But that happens with everybody. That's not just a
that
Black
happens
thing.
with scammers, people that come into our community and prey on us. They came and called on everyone, and everyone helped pay for that building, pay those taxes off, and they didn't pay them taxes. That's a scam. I'm sorry.
No. Speak your piece. I'm being educated now.
I'm sorry. And I'm not going to name names, but people that know. Don't
You talking about Percy Sutton in 125th Street?
No.
Okay. I don't know. Brother Tad, Marcy is over.
Today's episode of Sesame Street was brought to you by the letter B, the number 8. Woo! Now, but since we run it, I like what Sister Marcia was saying when she was in her segment, joined an organization. And one of the things I also encourage people to do in alignment with what she was saying, if you don't want to join an organization, start one. Start one. If you see there's a need in the community that you don't think is being met, organize around that. Even if it's just you cleaning up your block, even if it's just starting a block association or even an attendance association in your building, there are things you can do, because we got tons of things that we can be fighting. And even if not fighting, just bringing awareness to certain things, because everything don't have to be a fight. We could just bring awareness and people could donate their time, energy, efforts, and money, However, when we talk about leadership and we talk about our story, I definitely want to encourage people to please read Asada Shakur. As we talk about our brother Sekou Odinga, how our family and others organized to get our sister out of jail. That's a very powerful thing. So when you talk about organizing, we're talking about a high level, because ain't nobody just walking out of jail, right? And also, please read The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. This is very important, just so we can have an idea of the direction we should be moving in as Black people who truly care about Black people, whether you're Haitian, Jamaican, Bayesian, Black American, all right? Because granted, we got our different tribes, but we all got to get on code. And he talks about everything from politics to personal hygiene, to keeping your house clean, to dating outside your race, to raising your family, to dealing with relationships with one another. This is just Baba Garvey's philosophy. I wish his son would have read the book, or at least.
That's what I was just about to say. I was just about to chime in on that, my guy. He forgot a couple of pages.
And I bring these books up, right, just to bring a point home that nothing we're saying is new under the sun. All right. If you're impressed by Dr. Suki and Sucker Polite and all these people, this is letting you know that you need to do a little more reading and studying, because these people aren't saying anything that many of us don't know. And actually, knowledge only works when it's properly applied. We have to apply the knowledge, not just be able to say, we read this book, we read that book, but we have to have practical application to benefit our family and our community and eventually our nation. All right. So hopefully you're inspired by some things you heard tonight. It's your turn to go out and inspire others. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true, and remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, there's always better days ahead. Sister Keisha.
Family, it's a pleasure to be on a panel with y'all again this week. Thank you all for tuning in to check us out every Thursday. Tell somebody to tell somebody where it goes down. Remember, the battlefield is where you stand. Good night, family. We are out.
Peace.